Now, hold on. Before we start the show, real quick, I know y'all lost more money on y'all parlay. All I ask is this, man. Hit that subscribe and hit the bell. It's free. I promise you it ain't cost you nothing to support somebody. I'm just trying to reach 100K subscribers. Let's get to the video.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe they told me that I would never make it? Now we smiling in their faces, smiling in their faces.
So LeBron opted into his contract, and then in the same breath telling his agent to tell the public he wants to compete for a championship. It's almost like you having your best buddy and you guys are about to go into business and apply for a business loan, but the very next day he decides to run his credit score, finance a Hellcat, and pull up to the next meeting in the Hellcat. And you're like, I thought we were about to get this loan for this business, bro. And he's like, yeah, but I need to get that Hellcat. Bro, you gonna get the Hellcat one day, but first let's handle business. Now, I ain't gonna sit here and tell LeBron what to do with his money. And I damn sure ain't gonna tell him to take a pay cut from a billionaire. But if there's any guy in the league that can take a pay cut and I got the financial backings, it's LeBron James. In the 23rd season, what the hell are you playing for if it's not a championship? Let's get to the show. My name's Tyler Rose.
It's a 41-year-old star, another star in Luka, where it's notable that he's really working out this offseason, and they have absolutely no size. And the real value they have is Austin Reeves, but another headline today, they are not even taking calls or gauging interest on Austin Reeves. So the new owners, they know what success is all about. They own the Dodgers, and I've argued this before. I think the Dodgers, Mark Walters, I think it's the best run sports franchise in North America, perhaps ever. These people know what they're doing. They let stars go if they see problems around the corner. And so this morning, it appears they're going big game hunting next year. They do not think this is a championship team. They're not going to lose any sleep over LeBron being bummed out. They're going to upgrade scouting. And my guess, they are eventually going to find their wizard, their guru, their GM. So the Lakers need two centers like yesterday. The good ones are off the market. Clint Capella, he's back to the Rockets. Luke Cornett, Celtics, now he's the Spurs, and Brook Lopez to the Clippers. So let's not forget this. Put the pom-poms down. The Lakers got throttled in the first round. They lost convincingly in the first round. And they are worse today without Dorian Finney-Smith. They are worse today. You know who's not worse? Houston. Houston is better. You know who's not worse? Denver. You know who's getting better fast? San Antonio. So the ownership group knows what success looks like. Okay, these new owners are antique experts, and they're telling Laker fans, this roster's a knockoff. I know what grandma told you. It's not a Van Gogh. This isn't it. The new Laker owners are telling you, we know what titles looks like. And an aging LeBron and a finally working out in the offseason Luka is not Ohtani, Betts, and Freddie Freeman. I know it's painful.
Now, Colin Cowherd has always been, to me, somewhat a LeBron guy, a LeBron stan, if you will. But it's rather interesting lately to see a lot of these media personalities finally speak their mind on LeBron. You know, have these clutch sports contracts expired, or do people know the leverage is ending with LeBron? Like, not many seasons are left, so do I need to keep, rubbing oil all over him to get headlines or to be a part of something that's under the table that I don't know? Who knows? But we do know the Lakers have always been ran like a mom and pop shop, and they hire former Lakers like Luke Walton, Magic Johnson, Kurt Rambis, and dudes of that nature because they feel as if they understand somewhat of the culture or whatever it is they feel their needs or ties to. And keeping LeBron on the roster, of course, is going to make you sell tickets, but he's one of the few players, I think maybe if not the only player, that made an All-NBA team with a negative plus-minus for the season. And this guy doesn't play defense, and Luka doesn't play defense. And if you're going to the playoffs where they're letting you play physical, and you need to play defense, and you need to be in shape. So we got a 41-year-old guy, and then we got an overweight Luka who don't want to compete on the other end. I don't know how that contributes to winning basketball. And I think I know that reason is exactly why they ain't winning. Now, I do know the Lakers aren't going to be contenders. To me, they're just pretenders. Will they be competitive? Yes, they will. But last year when they won the 3rd seed, everybody in their mama, Lakers, LeBron, Luka fans, whatever you are, they were saying that they wanted to play OKC. They felt they were too young, that they were going to be able to beat them with their experience. I laugh because I'm not a betting man, but I had the Timberwolves winning against the Lakers. And I'm not a betting man, but I would have put some big money up because I laughed at everybody thinking the Lakers were going to win that series. I know them young boys and dudes that were just young on that team we're gonna kind of outrun and outplay them. They have too many young guys. Nas Reed, you know what I mean? Just fast, quick guys. Jaden McDaniels. Like, these dudes are like young. They're tall. They have length, and they just play defense and they play hard. Austin Reeves, he's kind of like, he didn't prove. He looked kind of soft in the playoffs. Luka is out of shape and it looked like he was hurt. I mean, man, there was no way. But like I said, people had them. So it does make me laugh because they were just the favorites almost to come out the West. And now they lose one rotational guy in Finney Smith Jr. And all of a sudden, this team is no longer anything. And they're terrible and this and that. So even when they do add a guy like DeAndre Ayton, they're still not good. So it does make me laugh at the excuses. So a 41-year-old LeBron is getting a reality check, though. And this is what the whole video is about, right? For the first time in his career, he doesn't have the leverage, the owners, management, or the trade market. No one wants to trade for him. Management is new. There's not a mom and pop no more. We don't got to include you on what's going on because at the end of the day, we know what championships are like. Because we own the Dodgers, we know how to run an organization, and we know a 41-year-old paired with a dude who's not always in the best shape ain't winning nothing. So you picked up your option. We know where your mind is at. We're going to let you dwindle off, and then you can go right off to the sunset. But riddle me this. LeBron is kind of like that hot girl, right? You know that girl maybe from high school. Maybe she had a man, and he was like, man, when she's single, man, I'm going to shoot my shot, man. I'm going to shoot my shot. You know, he is that hot girl who's now divorced, 50 pounds heavier, let herself go, and she got 5 kids. Nobody wants her. And LeBron has always been the spoiled kid or the kid that gets his way. And I think that's the reason why he left the Heat. Think he didn't like that Pat Riley was running and calling shots. They took his cookies away on the plane. He didn't like it. He's used to running the franchise, and it's LeBron's franchise. And his new management is looking like, bro, you don't have any more leverage, man. You old. And it's time for you to get the hell out of here because we need to start winning chips. And we ain't building around you because you're pretty much done. And it's interesting to see, to say the least. But it's always interesting because LeBron has always had a super team, right? And it's never enough. You know, he goes play with Chris Bosh, he goes play with Dwayne Wade. He goes play with Kevin Love, goes play with Kyrie. Now he goes to LA. He gets a prime AD, wins a bubble chip, was never able to go to the promised land again, never played in the finals again. You know what? Cool. Switch AD, let's get Luka. Even better player. Top 3 player, if you will say. Top 4 player, top 5, wherever you have him. He's a hell of a player, averages 30 in the playoffs. I mean, if you ask me, there's not an NBA player in the history of the game who's had more help than LeBron James. And my only knock on him is that he complains and he points his fingers when he loses, but wants all the credit when he wins. All the role players he has, all the great guys, all the third guys on these teams like Kevin Love and Chris Bosh, I always get discredited as players. Whenever I discuss things with like Bron fans, and like I said, I don't hate LeBron, but whenever I discuss things, I'm like, yo, this dude has some of the best teams. He has a losing record in the finals, and that's my whole thing against him. It's like, yo, I mean, you've had the most help I've ever seen. You've had more help than guys that I like growing up, more help than AI and Melo. Those are some of my favorite players. AI, Kobe, and Melo, my favorite players growing up. And I was able to watch you, not achieve as much with those guys. And then after that, Kevin Love and Bosh get looked at like they weren't all NBA guys averaging 25, 26, and 10 and 12 rebounds. They were all NBA power forwards in a league where they had guys like Tim Duncan and KG and people like Amari Stoudemire and Dirk Nowitzki. Those guys were still playing while they were all NBA players. Let's not forget that. Now, even with the signing of DeAndre Ayton, the man DeAndre Ayton, I mean, he missed a game for the Blazers because the roads were icy. The roads were icy, bro. The man didn't want to leave. I know you're from the Bahamas and all, my guy, but dude, you're a millionaire. You get paid millions of dollars to play a game and you can't make it out of your house because of that. Then call a freaking Uber. I don't think he's the caliber of a toughness or a professional the Lakers need. I don't feel like he takes the game serious enough. Not to knock him. I don't know the guy personally, of course. I'm just a dude that's commenting on things. But I see him as a guy who was good at basketball, but he doesn't really love the game. So I don't think, they're in a contender conversation. They're still pretenders. But can they be competitive, and can they make a run in the playoffs? With Luka, yeah, you definitely can. With LeBron, I mean, you got a shot. I mean, the guy still stays in the best shape. I mean, if he doesn't fall off this year, there's no excuse for you guys not to achieve anything. But I don't think you're contenders at all. So just seeing the whole landscape, like I said, of a guy like LeBron in his 23rd season to opt into his contract and not just say, hey, I'm going to take less money and play for my last 5th ring, get some rotational guys, and let's do a last hoorah. For a guy not to do that, it kind of just gives me almost like, what are you doing it for at this point? You know what I mean? You've accomplished everything. You've won championships. You got MVPs. You got the all-time scoring record. You got this, that, and the third. You want your money and you want to ride off to the sunset? Cool. I respect that too. But to say that you still want to win, it's really contradicting to your actions. And we're witnessing the end of LeBron's career. And I've watched LeBron since he's been in the league. I was a kid. Now I'm a grown man since he's been in the NBA. And I've seen every step of his career. And I've been able to watch and witness that. And I appreciate LeBron's greatness because he does have greatness. I don't like how he achieved his championships, especially his first 2. I like the one with Cleveland. But, I mean, it's time for the next guys to come into the league, the Cooper Flags, the Wembys, the Anthony Edwards, these young guys to carry the torch. It's an interesting place because we're also starting to see those guys like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Kawhi and Paul George and Harden and Westbrook and Durant. We're starting to see those guys that came in the 2010s starting to get old too, getting up there in their late 30s. So the league has got to be, handed off to another guy. Are these guys like Wemby and Ant, are these guys ready for that? Are they really, truly? Because when I watch them and I hear what they say and how they go about things, sometimes I feel like either they don't want the next to be the face of the league, which Anthony Edwards said he doesn't, or they don't have the personality for it, which Anthony Edwards does. And that's why I think Anthony Edwards should be the face of the league. But the guy is just too outlandish sometimes, man. Like, the NBA is not going to tolerate, you speaking the way you speak. And I'm not going to get into what he said. If you've seen it, you've seen it. But I think Anthony Edwards will be the perfect face of the league. But unfortunately, due to the circumstances of his, how he carries himself off the court, I don't know if they'll push that way. Cooper Flag, if he's not a bust, he very much can be that. Could be the next kind of Larry Bird type guy, white American man. The whole, homegrown. He's very good roots where he's from. He stayed local in the AU circuit. They didn't go elsewhere to play. I think we see a lot of great things, brewing in this league. And I never want to write out the league, even though it's not been the same since I was younger. I still try to, have a positive mindset when it comes to the basketball because I love basketball. And that's why I make these videos. So with that being said, what do you guys think of this? The whole LeBron situation with the Lakers and, of course, him opting to his contract and, this the face of the NBA. What does the post NBA, look like when LeBron leaves? Leave me a comment. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace.